Hey guys, welcome back. So today I'm going to try something a little bit different. I am working on 37. I'm going to make some new seals, inner seal panels for it. I only have the driver's side as a good template. The passenger side is completely gone underneath. And shifting it around, that has detached itself. Now, it's funny, back in that day, everything seemed to be nailed together and not welded. It's pretty strange. There's the firewall that has been spot welded. There's probably a couple of other little things that have been spot welded, but the rest of it seems to be riveted and nailed or screwed. And convenient enough, the door pillars were nailed in. For some reason, they were nailed to wood behind each layer of metal. It's kind of weird thinking about it because they had the spot welder out at the time. Why didn't they just do the rest of the car spot weld? It would have been so much quicker and more efficient, I guess. But then again, nails are probably the way to go as well if you're using wood, and most of these cars had a lot of wood in them. So I've got big plans for this 37. It's definitely not going to look like a 37 when I'm finished, so this is going to be a full custom chop, whatever goes sort of ute. So my idea with the bottom, I'll just move this around for you so you can see. Alright, so on the bottom here you can see the nice swoop up. I absolutely hate it. I love my coffee, but I don't like that. So my plan is to make this flush with the floor the best I can. Obviously I'm going to keep the same seal along that's in there originally, but the bottom of the seal will just be nice and flat all the way to the edge of the firewall, and I'll be squaring up this whole firewall and putting fillers in. Filler panels, all the inner panel will be cut out, so it does look all the same. Going to be a big challenge, but I'm ready to accept it. I've just been doing a few workings out, and what I'm going to use, I've got a few bits of scrap laying around that I am going to use to make these sill panels. I could make them one piece, but I do have a piece already bent up, which came an extra piece or a spare piece from the HZ inner seal. So I'm going to actually use that for the top seal, the little lip, the step. The step is another story again. That is just spot welded on to the inner panel. So with all that said, I'm going to get straight into it. Please hit the subscribe button, give us a like and thumbs up. Let me know what you guys think, what I should do to this thing, because to be honest, I'm running out of ideas already, but I do have a lot. So I'm going to straighten out the bottom. I want to get all that welded up properly, ready to go before I do the roof job. I am debating about buying the back sections, the little back corners. They are quite expensive. They do only come from the United States, which is quite annoying. I haven't found any place that sells them or remakes them in Australia. If any of you guys know, please hit me up, because I'd love to know if there is a guy making those back corners in Australia, so I can get them over here. Part of the reason I started building the English wheel was so I could build those back corners. And it so happens that a nice bodybuild 2.5 kilo weight has actually got the exact same roll size down the bottom along the bead line. So I do have something in the shed that does resemble that body line. So that could be in the works, I guess. Maybe not, I don't know. It's a lot easier to buy that stuff than it is to build it. But that's what I'm here for. So I'm going to get building on the inner seals. let's get into it. Okay, so what I've got is a test template that when I bought the inner sills for the HZ, the guy down the shop was just test folding up this piece. Okay, threw it in the box with the actual real ones that I've got. And I actually love the shape of this thing. It's got this nice 45 step on it. The other one is just round. It's a little fold over round one. Same thing but round. So what I'm going to do is cut this in half, then marry up 2 sections of this. I'm going to cut out 2 strips of this, and it will be a very long weld. So we're going to show you guys how to weld this nice and neat, and keep it nice and flat, and hopefully it works out really good. I do need to put a fold in this at some stage, which I'm just going to do a very simple fold by hammer, by hand. I don't have a press brake. It should be freaking nice to have one, but that's what I'm here for. Let's get this done. I'm going to get it chopped up and start welding. Okay, everything's cleaned up, ready to go. What I need to do now is make a fold in this, just making a 90-degree bend. Now this is a super long fold to be making by hand. If you guys are wondering, this is 1.6 mil. It is pretty strong stuff, but with the right amount of clamps and the right amount of support, you should be able to make this fold pretty simple. Well, if you haven't got yourself a grade blade, I suggest you go get one. Oh, I'm gonna get it up on the bench. How can I do this? Gloves. Gloves would be great. Let me put some gloves on. Wow, how did I get it in here? Maybe I need a rest. Holy crap, crap a brick. Again, if you guys haven't got a grade blade, go get one. super heavy. By memory, there's my marks. So I need 2 centimeters. So it's just a simple 2 centimeter lip down the bottom. It's where the outside step actually welds onto, spot welded onto. So what I'm going to do, mark my line, hammer it down, away as we go. Well, that is one folded edge. Now, it's not super pretty, but it is still a nice edge. It is an inner seal, it's flat. So, happy days, that is one done. I'm gonna get on to the next one. And yeah, get on to welding these things up. Okay, so you can see my idea. I've got my jig set up, ready to go. This is probably just going to be a starter. I'm going to drop a few welds, top and bottom, in the middle, and then I might play around with that bar underneath. It's definitely going to hold it in place, and that's probably your biggest key about doing this sort of stuff, these big long welds. If you've got something underneath, backing plate, that's going to keep everything flat, super flat. This thing's going to come out flat. It's not going to warp or anything like that. So you've got that nice hot metal up top, melting through. Ideally, you don't want a piece of metal underneath because it's going to go into that. Then you've got two pieces stuck together. That would be very silly. So what I'm going to do is chuck a couple of spot welds, maybe every 10 centimeters or so, all the way along. Then I'll readjust that bar underneath. I might use something a little bit different. But the key here, now, if I was to weld and leave about a 1 mil gap and start welding, that weld is definitely going to go straight through. There's going to be a puddle that is just going to fall straight into that little hole. And then there's going to be a nice little puddle underneath that I'll have to grind up later. This application, I am going to go nice and tight and squeeze this all the way together. Very similar to TIG welding. Once it's nice and tight together, I'm just going to turn up the volts on my welder and drop a nice big puddle right on top, and that should penetrate all the way through. This is 1.6 mil, and just by adding some volts, amps into your welder, turn up the heat a little bit, it should melt a pretty decent way through that 1.6. MIGs are used for a little bit heavier stuff than this smaller stuff, but it should not be a problem at all. I'll do a few and we'll have a look at them. Now, as you can see, there is a little bit of a gap. It's probably only 1 mil all the way along, but as I'm going down here, it's probably gonna pinch out again here, and then this may spread out a little bit just here. If I'd put a weld in this section, the lines, it's kind of touching here, then it opens up again in this area. So if I do another weld here, it's probably gonna pinch. This will probably move out a little bit. Now, if I just go straight over to this section where it's nice and tight, put a weld here, it's gonna start pulling this nice and close together. Now, you probably can't see this while I'm doing it, but I'm gonna heat it up, drop a weld in there, and cool it down with my hand. And as I'm cooling it, it's gonna shrink itself back in and pull itself nice and tight. Welds generally do that anyway, but because I'm cooling it down nice and quick, it's going to pull itself in really good. Just like that, it's almost touching from about here to here now, down here. I've definitely closed that gap up along here. That's actually pulled in really good. Just by cooling that down, there's a very minimal gap along here now. I could stick my finger in there before, but now I can't. So I'm gonna move up to about here. That should close this gap completely, and we should be sweet. All right, it's flipped over. Let's inspect these welds. So we've got quite a good couple of knobs here. This is ideally, you want this all the way along. There are some really shallow ones, but they are still knobbed out. So, which tells me that the front sides and the back side, the middle of it is welded. All right, that was a very long welding session, guys. All done, nice and flat. I'm super happy about it. It is going to be my new step. I've only done the one. I haven't done the other one yet. So I'm kind of dreading going and doing the other one because that was quite a long session. But take your time with these things. They do work. Everything comes together. It just falls together if you set up right, take your time, cool every weld down. It should come out really nice. There's definitely good penetration from start to finish, all the way along. Minimal grinding on the back, which I'm happy about. This will be replacing the step on the inside, just like that, like so. And this will be the new floor pan in here, butting up to this edge, this lip along here. So It is definitely not the shape, like I say, it's just straight, a nice straight box section. It will be carried from the rear of the door right the way forward to that firewall. And yeah, a lot of changing gonna go happening on this front section, which is gonna be a good challenge, but I'm always up for that challenge. Again guys, if you haven't subscribed already, hit the subscribe button and give us a comment. Let me know what you think. This is quite a big panel to work on, pretty big weld, but take your time with it, you can get it done. I'll see you guys in the morning. We'll get this thing smoothed out. Alright, well it definitely came out really nice and smooth. I'm pretty happy with the results. What I did with the angle grinder, I started off with the 80 grit, but then I wanted to get that meat off there real quick. So I went to the 60 grit, took a lot of it off, back to the 80 grit on the angle grinder. I just held it nice and flat all the way along, and that smoothed out everything. Then changed over to the palm sander, went onto an 80 grit as well with the palm sander, and it's come out really nice. I'm super happy with it. It's definitely not a finished product, but and there will be some modifications to this piece itself. It's a good start. I'm happy with it. I'm gonna move on to cleaning up this back section and getting that welded up. Just gonna couple of spot welds just so it's in place and ready to go for when I do need to chop it. So I'm gonna spend a little bit of time on that, getting that cleaned up, ready to go. Then I'll move on to doing the other side. And yeah, big days. Thank you guys for watching, appreciate it. Please hit that subscribe button. Let me know what you guys think.
Till the night is I know what you want.